Welcome back, everybody, to the Wide League Knoxville Clash. I am Casual Boy, joined here by Eric, and we're here for our round 2. So, Eric, why don't you give us a little insight into what we'll be seeing for this round 2 match?
So our players going up on screen now, we're going to have Nehzzy, we're going to be seeing from their perspective. Nehzzy going to be rocking with the team of Annihilate, Mousehold, Arcanine, Fluttermane, Amoonguss, Iron Bundle, and their opponent, RichVVS, is going to be rocking with Hydreigon, Great Tusk, Iron Bundle, Armarouge, Indeedee, and Annihilate. So a couple similarities here on the teams, but definitely two distinct styles of teams that we're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing the Indeedee Armarouge combination with the Annihilate, which seems like a little bit of an odd man out here, but not going with the traditional Mousehold that we're seeing on Nehzzy's team, as we're going to see the Mousehold Annihilate combination with some other standard members of the format: Arcanine, Bundle, Fluttermane, and Amoonguss. So this should be a pretty interesting match.
It should be an interesting match. It is two Annihilate facing off against each other, so it's two very, very powerful Pokemon going to be slamming down. So it will come down to whoever can get that Terastallization up first. And it also comes down to who has maybe like the faster follow me user to kind of set the pace of where they know the move's going. That could be a trigger for those speed tiers, which if they do then go for an attack, could be a bit crucial. Of course, Nehzzy does have that upgrade, I guess, in the form of having the beat up combo with the Mousehold that we so much love, as well as having those super powerful Pokemon just to support things with the Fluttermane and the Iron Bundle. And Arcanine really helps with dropping those Intimidates. You can drop down to Will-O-Wisp if it wants to. The only scary thing is that opposing Annihilate can get a Defiant boost and can just Terastallize into Fire type should it be Terrafire, and then cause Disruption with maybe Will-O-Wisp, and then a couple other strong Pokemon there as well. The Great Tusk, I'm loving to see that lovely little element coming in alongside another opposing Iron Bundle. So kind of a 50-50 matchup here. A couple Pokemon change, so it could be close, but it'll come down to who really can get the Annihilate set up first, I think.
Yeah, something I do like about Rich's team in this matchup is the presence of Indeedee. We see Nehzzy wanting to opt for that Annihilate Mousehold combination, but the problem is Indeedee is going to be able to redirect Beat Up. It's going to be able to redirect Rage Fist, so it's going to be kind of a tough little setup here because of that follow me on the opposing Indeedee side. And also Armarouge is going to be able to deal big damage to a lot of these Pokemon, as we're going to see Indeedee, Armarouge be the leads here from Rich, as the Mousehold and Annihilate going to be the leads from Nehzzy. So going into this turn 1 here, we have, you know, obviously the pressure of Trick Room from the Armarouge and the Indeedee, just being able to completely redirect all of the Mousehold Annihilate shenanigans. Also, Annihilate also under huge threat here from the threat of Expanding Force or any Psychic type move, so probably going to be forcing an early Terastallization here. But I do like the Indeedee Armarouge lead here from Rich, just being able to get that Trick Room up and set themselves up for a really nice sweep through with these Armarouge and Indeedee. So let's see how this turn plays out.
Yeah, see how the turn plays out, as it is that turn 1 Terastallization you did talk about. So kind of a force of the hand for both players. So like, okay, you know, I could take super effective damage from this Armarouge in Nehzzy's case, so having to go for that fire typing. Can take a hit a bit better from that armor cannon as well as just definitely taking the hit better from Expanding Force, although that Psychic Train could be a bit annoying if it gets in the way. Beat Up going straight through, it goes into the Indeedee because of that follow me. Yes, it is super effective, but it's not super effective enough, and even a family of mice can't take down this literal and a hypothetical goat. And of course, that follow me also means that if there is something like a Rage Fist that was going to go alongside that Beat Up, it is going to go into nothing. But Drain Punch does go into it. It's not going to do too much because it is going to be a Psychic type taking it, and it isn't going to be healing anything back. And a free Trick Room going up for that Armarouge, meaning that it could be slower than things. It could be going faster now, and then that'll leave a nice, healthy Expanding Force to go off in this terrain.
Yeah, I mean, just the freest Trick Room of all time there. Just Indeedee shutting down all of the Mousehold Annihilate shenanigans, able to take that Beat Up and Drain Punch effortlessly, but Helping Hand coming in on this following turn. Indeedee and Armarouge ready to deal out some damage. Annihilate not wanting to do any of that, just going to want to protect itself there.
Yeah, going for that Protect is a really good call. A double Protect as well, just covering every basis possible, such as that Expanding Force, which, seeing that Helping Hand must have been a sigh of relief, because often if you see a Helping Hand coming from Indeedee, that Expanding Force is coming, and to come it did. So luckily going to keep itself nice and safe for these next couple of rounds, and maybe just try and stall out Trick Room as much as possible trying to see, am I slower, am I faster, am I bulkier, just seeing what pace can be set, what needs to be done, and it could come close. Rage Fist is still super effective before any Terrasalizations. Armarouge loves that grass type, Terra type. He wants to go for it. Some I've seen go Terra normal, so it's going to be running through Nehzzy's head when Terra is going to be and who's going to go for it. The NDD as well could maybe Terrasalize just to take a hit. It likes that, like it's Terra type school, like those typings as well. So a bit of pressure going down straight away from that turn there. Have to see what Nehzzy can really adapt to and what RichVVS can also adapt to, given the power position they have on the field.
Yeah, I mean, you're able to stall one turn of Trick Room, but I mean, the Expanding Force is still coming, and no Terrasalization is going to save this Annihilate from a ton of damage. Does get a little protected by Friend Guard, but we're going to see Ndidi switch out here in favor of Rich's own Annihilate. And now Armarouge, even without Ndidi's help, going to be doing fantastic damage here with the Expanding Force. Takes out the Mouse Hold and does huge damage to Annihilate, even through the Friend Guard.
Yeah, the Friend Guard not doing much there. Of course, going down completely because of the lack of the Mouse Hold. Annihilate goes for a Rage Fist, and with all those hits going into it, does get the knockout. Armarouge, not the most bulky Pokemon. Sometimes they go a bit bulky of max HP, but Rage Fist just enough to grab that knockout. Leftovers recovery on the Annihilate could be useful. It could be the stake between a tiny roll, between a tiny KO, but will that be enough? And both of these Pokemon looking on Nehzzy's side, you know, one likes the Trick Room in that Amoonguss, who should be coming in here, can start putting things to sleep, and I very much doubt Vital Spirit is on that Annihilate because it doesn't come ever so often. And then we saw that Iron Bundle was the last pick there, so that can be very fun when the Trick Room ends, but while that Trick Room's up, not going to be doing much. So Nehzzy now has that opportunity to control the field. It is a Trick Room environment. We have got Amoonguss, a very well played pick from them there. Just be able to say, okay, I've got my sleepy moves as the Rage Powder does come off. It is going to redirect a lot of attacks, and the no spread moves on this side of the field. Only one of these Pokemon can really hit it. With that, Ndidi is carrying Psychic. Follow Me coming out, so both these Pokemon redirecting. So it's going to be a little bit of a crisscross bulk up there. So guaranteed there's going to be a bit of bulk for the Annihilate. It's going to be nice and bulky there. If right of the opposing Annihilate, Drain Punch comes on through, goes into Ndidi, gets a knockout, gets a bit more HP back. But will it be enough to break through these bulk ups that have come up, given that it is not only getting that attack boost, but a defense boost, which is going to be harder for that Rage Fist to hit through?
Yeah, so Ndidi going down there and Armarouge, a little bit awkward here for Rich, but I honestly do like their Annihilate in this position here. Obviously, it's a little awkward facing off against the opposing Annihilate. However, Rich's Annihilate is carrying that Vital Spirit according to their open team sheet, so Amoonguss not going to be bothered by it too much. Does have the bulk up advantage over the other one, as we're going to see Tusk come out here. Great Tusk, obviously not in the best position now because it's still under Trick Room and now threatened by Spore from the Amoonguss. But the Annihilate here is still doing pretty nice depending on the speed tier. Might have to force out a Terra just so it does resist the Rage Fist, which is now 100 base power on Nehzzy's side. So probably forcing the Terrasalization to try and mitigate some of the damage from the opposing Annihilate. But that bulk up is probably going to be huge later on in the game, just allowing Annihilate to take some extra hits, boost up its own Rage Fist, and get some big damage off on this side. So definitely the Vital Spirit coming in clutch here. So we'll have to see what happens on this turn as Great Tusk just goes for Protect.
Yeah, Great Tusk protecting there, just going to keep itself nice and safe from any of these moves. It's not going to like a Spore. It's not going to like taking a hit from the Annihilate. Rage Powder going off as well. It's going to just take any moves away, but luckily there is no moves going into that slot, just allowing for a passive bulk up to come from the opposing Annihilate. So Nehzzy is now having to face down something that is getting bulky and bulky each turn. With even that super activity and the buff to Rage Fist, it did less than 50%, and now we're in that situation where Nehzzy has to start to think of what they can do, and can they break through this wall. They might have to rely on a crit, and with those boosted attack as well, it's just going to be able to hammer hard in return, and losing that immunity to the fighting type moves means that you just go for a Drain Punch. That's going to heal a lot, even if there is a redirection.
Yeah, but the good thing about Great Tusk is that it can bypass this redirection if it does have something like Earthquake, and this fire type Terra typing not going to be doing Annihilate any favors here as Protect comes out. As Great Tusk goes for Headlong Rush, going to be doing a good amount of damage to Amoonguss. Let's see if the double target comes out here, and if this could mean a potential KO on the Amoonguss. Now, this Annihilate having the base 100 power Rage Fist into the Amoonguss does get the knockout, so big KO there for Rich, as Nehzzy will be down to their final two Pokemon. However, I don't hate the last Pokemon that's in back because it is going to be that Iron Bundle, which is obviously a very good Pokemon to have into Great Tusk. But this Great Tusk is carrying that Focus Sash, so it will need just one more hit to go into it in order to guarantee a knockout. But as we did just see, the Great Tusk is faster than the Annihilate, so it does have to contend with Great Tusk's speed advantage. However, if you do want to lower the speed here, if you're Nehzzy and try to go for Icy Wind, you do, which is actually pretty safe. Sorry, I was going in a completely different direction. You're actually completely safe here because this Annihilate I mentioned earlier is Vital Spirit. So Icy Wind, honestly, not a terrible option here since you're not going to be giving that Annihilate a free attack boost. But we'll have to see how if you're rich, you're probably going to want to play a little bit defensively with your Great Tusk to probably avoid your Sash being broken. And Annihilate is still just is sitting real nice here. I don't believe Rich is also terrestrialized yet. This is Eterra fighting Annihilate, so that resist can come out whenever it wants to. But Freeze Dry coming out from Iron Bundle takes Great Tusk down to its Focus Sash.
Yeah, that was a close call there by Nehzzy, going through every option possible really to think what knockout can I go for. The knockout is just returned from the Great Tusk, to showing how strong it is with that new move. Headlong Rush has been doing a lot of damage in the recent rounds of VGC. Of course, there was the opportunity to maybe go for an Icy Wind if given it as a Vital Spirit on the Annihilate. It would have not taken the boost from the drop, and you could have gotten a lot of damage down on that fragile special defense on the Great Tusk, which would have meant it would have been slower than the Annihilate. You could have got a knockout, and that could have put you in a position where the opposing Annihilate, yes, it could get a knockout, but what Pokemon was it knocking out, and could you pick up the pace from there? It's got a decent special defense, it's got a really nice physical defense, so it likely wouldn't have liked sitting in front of that Iron Bundle and then leaving it so it's got that bulky defense in front of a nice physical attacker. But it's still that 50-50 of being like, okay, if you knock out one Pokemon, I can just start putting damage down. This Pokemon's already super bulky and super strong. Or if you knock out this one, I then can start spamming into a defense you have not buffed. So it's going to be a very, very close call in his late turn. Hydro Pump comes on out. It is enough to do about the same as a Rage Fist did earlier. So probably still not the best option, as we do see a knockout coming onto that Iron Bundle from the Great Tusk. So the past coming in and taking over the future, and just showing them who's boss as RichVVS takes this first game of round 2.
Yeah, very well played to Rich there. I think Nehzzy, the first thing that they probably should consider going back to the drawing board is Mousehold Annihilate. Probably not the call for this one, as we saw just how potent Indeedee could be in that matchup, and also just the fact that Rich's Annihilate is rocking with Vital Spirit, so going to be able to ignore that Amoonguss and just ignore all that spore pressure. I mean, there is something to consider with that Amoonguss when trying to go for something like the Indeedee Armor Rouge mode and setting up Trick Room, giving Amoonguss the speed advantage. But I think the bringing out of Great Tusk there at the very end of the game was very well timed, just able to get that Protect off, stall out the last turn of Trick Room, and as we saw, Great Tusk able to just clean up the game after forcing the Fire type Terrestrialization. So something else that Nehzzy is going to have to consider here is whether or not forcing that early Terra is worth it, because Great Tusk, as we saw, can just easily claim knockouts wherever it wants to. And yeah, a lot of these other faster Pokemon are going to have a tough time, like a Fluttermane and Iron Bundle, if they have to contest with Trick Room.
Yeah, it's still going to be a close one of putting that pressure on from that turn 1. We've seen that Rich wants to go for that Trick Room turn 1 to just mitigate what speed can come out from the back of Nehzzy's team. So if Nehzzy can tap into that and force the pressure in return, we could see him be like, okay, I'm not going to Terrestrialize and just go straight for that Rage Fist. Yes, you're not getting the boosts from the beat up, because we like to see a follow me to guarantee that Trick Room is going up, but you can still try and put pressure down. If you think Rage Fist is going to be redirected, you can just go straight away and be like, okay, go for the damage with a Drain Punch, get as much down as possible on that Indeedee and put pressure on it. But even just switching things up completely and bringing that Fluttermane alongside the Iron Bundle, so we could see a bit of spread damage, we could see a Shadow Ball going somewhere. Moonblast would be very, very nice if you just go straight into that Indeedee. We've seen how powerful this Pokemon can be in the past, quite literally, and in gameplay. So I can see what it could do from there, of course. So he only has Dazzling Gleam as well as Imprison to possibly stop and protect going somewhere. Often see Trick Room in that last slot alongside Imprison if it does have it, just to stop any shenanigans with the Trick Room, but maybe just wanting to play it in the damage game and see where they go from there.
Yeah, I was also kind of excited to see the imprison here, but I don't think it's going to be factoring in too much because literally the only moves that can be imprisoned here are protect and dazzling gleam. But just going to protect the Armarouge on turn 1 as the dazzling gleam comes out, gets a critical hit on the Indeedee. Something worth noting that the Indeedee is not carrying Psychic Seed, so that Dazzling Gleam will still be doing a ton of extra damage there as the Hydro Pump goes into the Protect, and we see the Indeedee go for the Trick Room this time. That's something neat about Indeedee now is that it gets the Trick Room option, so both of these leads can flex that Trick Room option if you get the read right, and it looks like Rich did right off the bat. And now we're seeing a very similar story as to Game 1, where Armarouge is in a prime position to start clicking Expanding Force.
Just in a position where it can just click any move it wants, really. Both these Pokemon aren't going to like taking Expanding Force, and both these Pokemon are definitely not going to like taking an Armor Cannon should there be a Terrestrialization. With Helping Hand most likely just around that corner as well, it is going to be very, very scary. Terrestrialization into Grass type, just guaranteeing that those ghost type attacks won't be doing as much, and indeed you can just do Helping Hand like it wants to. The Protect coming out from the Iron Bundle is going to give it a little bit of safety, but is that a bit of false security? A double Protect going through, so with no Wide Guard on either of these Pokemon, that is really all you've got to scout out what move is coming. Expanding Force is going to go into both those Protects, but does it really matter? Trick Room is up. Both these Pokemon are the fastest in the game, and it's just going to force them into a position where they have to switch and have the Pokemon in the back take loads of damage, or just sit there, go down to any Focus Dashes they have, get knocked out, get that free switch, and then work from an impromptu decision from there. But honestly, Nehzzy has just gotten himself into Rich's trap again. There goes that Expanding Force. It can do loads of damage, only just hanging on both of them. A Focus Sash coming out from the bundle, and of course the natural special defense from the slot main, keeping it a little bit safe. Dazzling Gleam coming out though and just cleaning things up, so anything going to either slots would have been dead weight anyway. And Rich just showing how powerful this combo can be and why it's just dominating the field in recent eras of VGC.
Yeah, I really like the Terrestrialization choice there for Armarouge, because not only does it allow you to completely ignore the Amoonguss that's in the back, aside for some chip damage with Pollen Puff, but also making sure that you resist both Hydro Pump and, well, not take super effective damage from Shadow Ball, just in case. Makes you primed to do some good damage there. I do like the choice of going for the Dazzling Gleam, because as we see in the open team sheet, that Iron Bundle on Nehzzy's side was carrying Focus Sash, so it probably needs the extra little tap to ensure the knockout. And also, we saw how much damage Flutter Mane took from that, so that was easily Dazzling Gleam range. So very good stuff there from Rich calling that out. And yeah, just able to claim 2 quick knockouts there with the Expanding Force, as we see the Terrestrialization coming out from Nehzzy's side onto the Amoonguss is going to be that Terra Dark. So Expanding Force going to be able to dodge some damage from it this turn.
Yeah, so dodge damage from that Expanding Force. It is just still going to take a lot of damage from any potential Dazzling Gleams coming on through, as well as this Armor Cannon is still going to do a load. Spore going into that Indeedee, it's really all it can go into, and of course without having a like safety goggles, it's going to go through. I doubt it's Chesterberry, that's not as common as an item as it always is. There goes that Armor Cannon, so given the glory of that Terrestrialization, you should take it, but oh no you don't. Helping Hand showing why it comes on through. And it's just going to get a knockout even on that Dark typing, and Nehzzy is going to be on the back foot again, even with one of the best Trick Room counters in the game. And it's Arcanine, it can't Extreme Speed if it has it. It can only really go for Snarl, because that's super effective into the Indeedee, so it drops the stats down of that Armarouge. And it can't go for any of its stab moves, because Flash Fire is just going to proc and make that Grass type immune to fire. Again, showing why this is such a powerful Terrestrialization. And it's just stuck in that situation and just hoping you get the stats low enough that a crit does not come, and that you can just knock out with a good old Snarl.
Yeah, I really like the option for Helping Hand, because not only do you get a move off before you get spored by Amoonguss, but you also cover for the Terrestrialization from the Amoonguss. So even if it Terrestrializes to Dark type, you can still get that extra little damage bump, and we see that's more than enough to get the knockout here. And the Annihilate switching in for the Indeedee here as Armarouge goes for the Expanding Force. This is -1, but oh my goodness, single target Expanding Force in Psychic Drain still does a ton of damage to this Arcanine, leaving it on just a sliver. Gonna get some HP back with that Citrus Berry. Normally, I would like this Annihilate play a lot better if it was that indeed that Defiant, because, you know, this would normally mean that Annihilate gets a free damage buff here, but still like it anyways, just to preserve Indeedee's HP in the back. And Annihilate gets a you know, barely any damage coming in here. It gets basically all of its HP back with leftovers. And the benefit of switching on to such a weak attack like Snarl is that you do get a boost to your Rage Fist. But Nehzzy choosing not to play this out concedes the game, and we're going to see a 2-0 from RichVVS. Very, very good game to both players, but Rich obviously having this match down on lock. And DD Armarouge proving that it's not just a gatekeeper to the low ladder on Pokemon Showdown. This is a legit combination of Pokemon. Just top 8'd the international championships in Oceania, and it's proving that it's still a very viable combination and here to stay in Series 2.
It is a super viable combination, and we've seen it happen time and time again all throughout VGC. We had in 2020 and 2021, we had the combination of Indeedee plus Hatterene. It didn't do exactly the same because we didn't get Expanding Force until the tail end of the format, but it was the same combo of getting Trick Room up, getting Psychic Terrain up, and spamming loads of damage. We saw it again with the Astral Barrage, the Shadow Rider going with that super strong Expanding Force there, Expanding Horse as some called it. So we've gone from fairy to a horse to a soldier. So it feels like it's a fairy tale, and a fairy tale it must be. Teams like this are doing so well when people give them a lot of trash talk because they're just there gatekeeping the low ladder. But again, as you said, with Oceania showing its presence, and now we have it here in the Wide League, it's doing so well, and it's great to see these players excelling with it. It'll be great to see what they can do going forward, especially when they crush mirror matches such as one we just saw.
Yeah, I think Indeedee Armarouge is really coming into its own, because I think Armarouge was kind of shackled into running a bunch of different moves. It wanted to run Wide Guard, it wanted to run Trick Room, it wanted to compromise Protect, it wanted to compromise a damage boosting item, but then people just realized Expanding Force with a damage buff does a ton of damage, and like there's not a lot of Pokemon in this format that want to take that attack. I mean, there's a couple dark types like Tyranitar, and also like people wanting to Terra Dark their Pokemon to try and eat up Expanding Force, but you forget about Armor Cannon, and Armor Cannon with that Helping Hand boost plus the Life Orb does a ton of damage, able to just wipe Amoonguss off the map, a Pokemon that we rarely see one-hit KO'd in this format. So it's still very powerful, and also Indeedee just being one of the best answers to Maushold Annihilate, just being able to redirect all the shenanigans it wants to go for. You know, just redirecting Beat Up and just being immune to Rage Fist makes it an excellent answer to those two. So yeah, just very strong team. There's a reason that this very 6 did so well in Oceania. Not quite the same sets, but this combination of Pokemon having the fast offensive mode, plus the you know, the Indeedee Armarouge is just a flex mode for the team is just very strong.
It's a very strong core, completely, and you know, it's going to be great to see what it can pull off. Unfortunately, it didn't get through to those top rounds of Oceania, but maybe, you know, Wide League is going to be that prestige that it gets. You know, I can say, yeah, this team won Oceania, but I then got this famous combo to the top of the Wide League, and just showing again that it's just one of those Pokemon that is like, oh, normally it's people saying, oh, it's just at the bottom of the ladder, it's just going to sit there, it's just going to get it up to like the 1300s and then just can be completely swamped by good tactics. But having that combination behind it is what you need. Some people have made it hard. Trick Room has been like, here's a super fast click more buttons and something's gone mode, as well as a Trick Room mode. But then there is so much, and I think we'll be seeing a lot more, you know, fun tactics like that possibly coming up in round 3 when we do shuffle on over to it.